To battle again. It was early. The sun glinted palely across the dry dust of the plain and glittered on the edge of the sea. The two armies prepared to fight again. In Olympus, Zeus was not in the best of moods. He called a meeting of the gods, determined that none should meddle in the battle but him. The other gods listened in fear, and they trembled as his words thundered around the mountain tops. Anyone who disobeys me, he looked sharply at his wife Hera, and then Athena and Apollo. Anyone who even dares to think about helping Trojans or Greeks, I will hurl into the deepest yawning chasms of Tartarus. No one will interfere in this battle, not even if their favorite is being butchered. Do you hear me, Aphrodite? The shining goddess nodded, for once unable to speak for fear of Zeus. If anyone defies me, I will take earth and heaven and sea and hang them all over the darkest chasm, and leave them and you dangling. At last Athena found her tongue. Father Zeus, we are sorry for the terrible fate of the armies below. The gods could see the Greek army standing ready in the killing field. Rushing out of the Trojan gates came chariots and as many men as there are stubble spears after the harvest. Zeus let loose a thunderclap, and the battle began. First the slashing hiss of volleys of arrows, followed by the clattering of hurled javelins as they were deflected off a shield and breastplate, and thuds as they crashed into throats and breasts and skulls. Desperate sounds of swords on bronze, sword on bone, and piercing terrible cries of dying men filled the air in the endless roar, as if earth itself was an animal crying out in terror over the world. Back and forth the battle raged. Diomedes was almost killed when Hector attacked. He was forced to run, and Hector shouted out abuse after the brave Greeks. Zeus flung a bolt of lightning that burned the ground and flayed all it touched. It terrified the Greeks, who believed it was a sure sign that Zeus was on the side of the Trojan forces. Hera begged Poseidon to do something to curb the Trojans, but even the lord of the earthquake dared not defy Zeus. The Greeks were forced back. It was a chaos of death in the deep ditch that they had dug in the front of their wall. Agamemnon called on the Greeks to rally together. Privately he begged Zeus not to let them die in their trap of their own making. Zeus was moved and sent a sign. An eagle flew over the nearby hillside of the fawn in its claws, with a fawn in its claws. The huge bird climbed high up over the battlefield until it was over the Greeks. Then it dropped the fawn. The Greeks saw this as a sign that Zeus had changed his mind, and they threw themselves against their enemy with all the joy of battle. Zeus knew the pain and suffering on the battlefield. He turned away, and the warriors fought on.